Okay, so really I just want you to be present with me and be open and don't worry about missing the data, okay? Because there's a big difference between knowledge, understanding, practice, and integrating new habits. And it takes a while to, oh, I've never thought of it that way, or let me try it, and then you practice over time and then it becomes yours. So the knowledge is good, the tips are great, the strategies are good, even the ones in the books that we've all read. A lot of people, when I declutter their homes, they've read these books on decluttering and organizing. They've read about 15 pages, put it on the bookcase. They've tried, it's good effort, they've tried. But then 3 weeks later, the mess comes back. Okay, so we all know there's more to it than the tips and strategies. I'm in people's homes for 5 days a week in their mess. And I'm vertical and I'm happy. And if I can do it for 5 days a week, you certainly can learn how to enjoy the process. But what are the 3 essentials? Emotional management, time management, and stuff management. We all know this is emotional work. We all know that we need to make time to do the work, okay? And then there's the stuff management. Most people that are calling me are upset in the beginning. They're either angry, frustrated, annoyed, overwhelmed, and it's not lack of effort that people call me. They've usually tried over and over again and haven't made progress, and they look at their calendar and they just feel like, how am I ever going to get this done? So I've designed a strategy that integrates those 3 essentials: emotional management, time management, and stuff management. Most people in my profession are focusing on the stuff. I focus on you. And I teach you how to think it through, not just what to do. Okay, but the first thing you need to declutter is your emotions. The second thing is the calendar. Then you have half a chance to get to the stuff in your house without suffering. We all know this is true, right? But we're still looking for quick tips and strategies. You know, I have to apologize to everyone in this room for the professional organizing industry. We have set you up. Oh my God, the perfect container, the perfect label maker. By the way, I have been doing this for 13 years. I've been to the Container Store only 5 times, okay? I don't own a label maker. My clients do. Okay, but I've only used it 3 or 4 times maybe in 10 years. So I want you to switch your orientation from the stuff and the tips and the quick solutions and settle down and just be with your stuff, just like the way you're being with me now. Okay, but much of the work has to do with what attitude are you entering this experience. And if you're stressed out in the rest of your life, the decluttering is going to be stressed out. If your calendar is overstuffed like our closets, we're going to have to make time. But I give you a fresh perspective, clear options, and essential criteria so that you can trust your decisions. Now, it always helps to have somebody like me working with you. Well, let me rephrase that. It always helps to have me working with you. Okay, if you want to enjoy the process and not just the results. Anyone can slam through this, anyone can do it for you, and then they leave and then the mess comes back, right? This is why I can guarantee you enjoying it, and if you're willing to learn, you can get sustainable relief from the mess. So, let's get started. As a teacher, my background, I have a master's in education, so I designed this so everyone who calls me, as I said, was upset. And that's good because it got them motivated to reach out for help. It's such a beautiful thing because they think that they call and they start complaining, and they may be legitimate complaints, but they had the wrong parents, the wrong house, the wrong husband, the wrong bank account, and the wrong stuff, and they can't believe that they got stuck in this mess by themselves, and it's all up to them by the family. Usually I work with women. Still, the household is still primarily the women's responsibility. They take the lead. But the first thing I do is unravel the upset. Okay, so how are you thinking about this is what I pay attention to, this getting you upset. For example, I decluttered a garage with a couple around here. I change all the names and the towns so you can't identify who I've worked with. Okay, so if you go, I think I know that person, you don't. Because I'm making up I'm making it up as I go, okay? But I was in a garage, and I'm working with a woman. She was probably 50. It was an affluent household, and there was a lot of stuff in the garage, the typical stuff. The stuff is typical stuff for the garage. And she worked part-time, he worked more than time and a half. And so, but she seemed so irritated. Things were going so well, and she still was irritated. And I said, you know, let's talk about that a little bit. And so to fast forward, basically what she was so annoyed about was not the stuff so much. She was annoyed that her husband wasn't doing it with her. And I said, oh, sweetie pie, let's talk. And so when she described the situation to me, her husband works, the primary quote-unquote breadwinner. She does work, but the house was her responsibility. And I've tried to put people in a position of, instead of being a victim to their circumstances, I said, oh, this is really good that he's not here. Okay, you're the high priestess of the household. That's the position I want you to take. You're not a victim to this. You chose this family, you chose your husband. You're not going to get rid of him, right? Oh, no, but I have thought about it. But I said, well, let's keep him and take care of the garage. What was causing the stress was her expectations, not the physical work, not even the husband, by the way. In a lot of ways, he was actually doing what he was meant to be doing. He was providing for his family. And when he gets into that garage, he wants to go out and do the lawn and the flowers and mow, and he's not going to organize. And frankly, I could look around and I said, he doesn't have the skills to declutter. He's the type of person, if I can't find it, I'm going to go buy another one. Okay, so there's like 3 or 4 of everything in this garage. But I said, let's put your high priestess robe on, okay, and you take charge of this, and that's a good thing because you're not arguing. And so we got through it, and by the way, you never declutter somebody else's stuff, okay? What we did do was declutter and organize the stuff in the garage, but all his stuff, we just found his corner. And I put out 2 tables. He had a workbench, actually, but it was too small for all the stuff. So all his stuff went onto the workbench. And it was like this. And I said, don't worry. He's happy you did all this. And I said, if you need somebody who specializes in garage organizing, I'd be happy to help you. So by the time I called her, though, which was a beautiful thing, lo and behold, her husband had gone out there by himself and organized and decluttered his section. We brought it down to an appropriate proportion of work to who he was and the role he played in the family. Do you see what I mean? It has nothing to do with the stuff. Her expectations were causing the stress. So unraveling the emotional work is very, very important, because we could have continued. We worked, I think, 8 hours in that garage, which is 16 hours, and people typically get 5 or 6 times more done with me than on their own. So if you think about how many hours, if she had gone through that garage on her own, of course she wants to go do something else. So the point is that she was actually trying to go really hard, aggressive, to get as much done as possible for the day. And I want to encourage you, the number one thing that you can do to enjoy the process is to slow down. Okay, because if you hurry, just like if you're driving down 128, if you're speeding, you're much more likely to get a ticket, to crash and miss the turn that you should have taken. So slow down. Now, in New England, we are well trained to, and all around actually, we have this illusion of thinking that if we speed up, we're going to get more done. No, if we speed up, we're much more likely to go into overwhelm, frustration, and exhaustion. The number one mistake that people make is to do too much, too fast, too hard. They clear the whole weekend and roll up their sleeves and tell everyone to go away, and then they throw themselves into the basement, and they come up for air. They go, oh my God, and then Monday comes around and they're like, oh my God. Or even worse, they look around and instead of noticing how much progress they made, they notice everything that they didn't get done. So when you work very, very hard and very fast, especially if you're by yourself, it's a one-way ticket into overwhelm, depression, resentment, and that sense of entrapment, because you're not done, you have to come back and do it again. And your brain is smart enough never to want to do that again. Okay, so all the time that you're working with me, I teach you to actually pay attention to your feelings and set a pace that's appropriate to your age and your circumstances. It's very different when I'm decluttering with a 40-year-old who just had triplets instead of one, or a 65-year-old who's going through a divorce, or an 80-year-old family who has to downsize and move. But slow down, and I want you to pay attention to your feelings. Now understand, the same time that we're trying to make progress, we're trying to get out of this. We're still trying to figure out, how can I get out of this? And there's no way out but through. Unless you leave it for your children, and they will resent you forever. Okay? If you really want to leave it for somebody, pick the person you like the least in your family and designate him as the person to go through your house. I'm not kidding. You have no idea how many phone calls I get from adult children that can't get their parents to do what needs to be done. And sometimes I go, well, you know, I ask a series of questions, I give them options, I give them the criteria to decide, but they tell me their story, and I said, you know what? It's too late. You're asking your parents to do something that they can no longer do on their own. And what's freaking them out is the whole thing's going to be dumped on them, and they're right. And so the child, the adult child, becomes my client, not the parents. I often call my work sensory-based decluttering. You do not want to override your feelings. You do not want to do the work despite them. You want to slow down enough to go pay attention to, before overwhelm, there's lots of feelings that happen. So if you can notice, oh, I'm beginning to get a little confused. Oh, I'm losing track here. Or I'm getting distracted or worried. I want you to back off, take care of that worry, or take care of your body and take a 10-minute break and then come back and continue. Much of my work, when I step into a client's home, I'm watching their stuff and I'm watching them, of course, but I'm really getting them in a position to choose what's best for them. This is all the work has to do in making good choices. And people feel great that they're working with me and we're getting so much done. But really why most people actually feel good is that they get a clear process and they regain their confidence in their own decision making. So when I leave, they still feel good. They don't stay dependent on me. Do you understand the difference? Do you understand how important this is? Because when I'm working with people, they've lost faith and like, what's the matter with me? Particularly women are prone to personalize the problem, and then they think everyone else in the neighborhood knows what to do but them, okay? And then they go into this spiral of like, there's something innately wrong with me, and that's called shame. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something that you need to learn. The difference between embarrassment and shame, by the way, is embarrassment, and I'm embarrassed by a behavior that I'm doing, where shame is that I'm embarrassed in who I am. And now I'm going to move into time management. Our calendars are just as stuffed as our closets. Okay? It's the same thing, it's just a different container. And when we're trying to take care of everything in our calendar, we're hurrying. You never want to hurry. Hurry should be an option, but not a lifestyle. You know, if there's an elephant in the room, you might want to hurry to get out. But you want to live your life to simply just show up and take care of it through time. Think of this work as not getting rid of stuff. What you're doing needs to get in a position to slow down, to choose what's best for you. The work is in the thinking. Before all the doing, is the deciding. Before all the deciding is the thinking. And what we need to think about is, what is the best answer for you? This takes time. The time is in the thinking. The doing work, don't get distracted with that. That's pretty straightforward once you get to the doing part. By the way, I'm teaching this while I'm doing the physical work, so it's not separate. But the time management is that you actually want to build a routine in your calendar through time. 2 hours a week is actually really good on your own. If you can do more, that's great, 4 hours a week. If you don't have a specific deadline, okay, there's nothing like a move, a divorce, a death, an illness, you know, somebody falls or whatever, and that finally makes it a priority. But it's so much easier if you actually slow down and make a routine in your calendar, 2 hours a week. If you can do more, that's fine. But what I want to really emphasize is that while you're doing the work, I want you to pay attention to your feelings. Without the routine, though, we're in trouble. The great thing about a routine is, though, you actually schedule it and put it in your calendar. You don't keep it in your mind, by the way. You actually schedule it in your calendar. And you go, oh my God, tomorrow's Thursday morning and I made that my day. And you have the right to ignore it if you want, okay? But that doesn't feel good to do that. Okay, but if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel good that morning, and you go, oh gosh, you know, I'm really not up for this decluttering this morning. That's okay. You keep your intention, you keep it important enough, you keep it a priority, and then you literally schedule it into another day. You don't abandon your intention, you move it to another day. In little bits, through time. That's why I typically work with people for 3 to 4 hours a week. I can work with you for 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and even 3 years. Okay? Everyone is different. So no project is the same. I custom design the whole strategy around you. This is all about you and not the stuff. Don't get distracted by the stuff. We'll come to that next. That's the stuff management. So time management is really essential, but the first thing I need to do is declutter the calendar with you. We do a time map, what I call a time map. And somebody, you know, like I have to take care of the boat, kind of gets in the way, but we work around that. Now, a lot of people, another person I just started working with, she has 3 volunteer jobs. She loves volunteering. By the way, it's attached to her identity and her contribution as a person in the world. You do not want to take volunteering completely away from her. What you do is work it out. We listed 3 volunteer positions. What are her 2 favorites? We let go of the 3rd one, and she suddenly had 5 hours a week to do the decluttering. Now, if you're working full-time, or you have 3 children, or you have parents that you're taking care of, in all fairness, doing this by yourself is the mistake. You can only work so hard and aggressively, but if you want to enjoy the process. It's possible to take care of your time. At any given moment when you feel that constraint in your heart, which is very much like the constraint of overwhelm or being stuck, it just tightens here. It's the same experience we feel when we look at our to-do list and we go, how are we going to get everything done? We don't. You get your priorities done and keep aiming at that. But you do have, this is one of the best, I use these graphic lessons to teach people, and they make reference to these lessons in between our sessions so they practice what we've talked about or what we've done together. Now, in time management, at any given moment, you have, instead of feeling a victim to your circumstances or that there's too much to do and you have to get everything done, no, you choose the priorities, and if it's still too much, these are the 5 Ds to give you freedom and constraint of your life. I have a handout that you'll get afterwards. They are do, delegate, drop, defer, or diminish. At every given moment of your life, whether you're decluttering or not, you can get freedom and constraint where you choose, once again, like I really do have a lot on my plate. I'm going to do this, but I'm delegating this. I'm deferring this to next week. Do, delegate, drop, diminish, drop and diminish. Diminish is, okay, I can't do my whole closet, but I can do my pants. Okay? Or drop. You know what? I'm never going to get to that. Let's just stop fooling ourselves. So you drop it all together. Or you drop it into the next year. Like I'm planning a trip that I'll never be able to take this year because I'm writing a book and doing a video and da 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 da, and it doesn't fit into my life. But I don't have to abandon the trip for the rest of my life and feel sorry for myself. I've already put it in the month in 2018. No loss at all. Do, delegate, drop, diminish, or defer. So when you start feeling that tension in your calendar, you stop trying to get everything done and you choose your priorities, and then you have 5 Ds at any given moment. Instead of feeling trapped by your circumstances, you're free. But you don't have to feel trapped by your time and your schedule. Now, by the way, telling you how to do this and learning how to do this are very different. I spend a half an hour to an hour every day taking care of my calendar so that I never hit overwhelm. And I've got a full life and a full calendar. I'm scheduled pretty much from 7 to 7. I don't work nights, and I just step into my day. And because I've choreographed, think of time management, I call it time finesse. Think of time management as not as something else you have to do, but it's actually as creative as choreographing your own dance. It's your life, your calendar, your choices, your dance. And it's that creative. So that's emotional management, time management. Those are the two prerequisites before really you can get to the stuff with enjoyment. The stuff is, what is clutter? And what is decluttering? Why bother do this anyway? By the way, we declutter for our whole lives, but most of us are procrastinating. I work in the world of procrastination. Don't want to, can't make me, okay? Trust me, we can't get to this stuff until we deal with that, okay? So decluttering is the act of bringing your life in balance so you can adapt to your changing circumstances, your present life. It's not about getting rid of stuff. It's about choosing what to keep in your life. And how you decide what to keep is this wonderful experience of like, oh my God, you have to think it through. So what clutter is in stuff? Stuff is neutral. Clutter is just the stuff. Your stuff becomes clutter as you change, your interests and your life changes. Okay? It's all about you, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about the stuff. The stuff comes into the home with permission, okay, and then it sits there as you go off and do the rest of your life. There's nothing wrong. When I go into people's home, I just look at certain patterns of thinking and patterns of behavior, but of course everything's in this corner. Thank God it's in the corner and not in the middle of the living room. You see what I mean? Your mess makes sense. Your stuff is neutral. It becomes clutter as your life changes, your circumstances change, your interests change. Aging is a big part of this process. I can't ski the way I did when I was 17. The good news is I don't have my skis anymore. So by the way, I'm not a minimalist. I love my stuff, and I'm not a perfectionist. I get messy and I have to pick up after myself. This stuff works because I have to practice it too. I'm no better than any of you. I just have a lot more experience. And I know it can be enjoyable because I'm still enjoying myself, going, okay, when I look in the basement and I go, oh, wow, that needs some attention, that's all I say to myself. I don't go, what idiot has kept all this stuff, all this crap in my basement for how many years? This self-criticism is the #1 cycle of entrapment. That if you can look at the stuff and go, I guess it needs more of attention, is very different than looking at it and then turning condemning yourself through it, okay? And so clutter is what no longer adds value to your present life. The two operative words here is value. How do you decide? See, all the work is in the decision making. How do you decide what adds value to your life? Well, you have 5 resources. I'm going to narrow it down. But energy, that's physical and emotional energy, time, and money. Every decision that you make costs or replenishes your resources. For example, let me give you an example. I have had this for about 4.5 years. It's beautiful. It's never been out of the package because I could never get it in here as beautifully. And I've been thinking that I'm going to consign this, okay? It really is my clutter. Actually, I bought it as a gift, and then that person didn't want it and didn't even like it. I thought it was really pretty. But she didn't have the bed that size, and it wasn't the design she liked. So the last thing you want to do is take somebody else's gift just to be nice. So she gave it back to me because she knows what I do. And I wouldn't take offense. And I said, okay, so now that's my clutter. But for the longest time I was going, well, maybe I could use it. Maybe, you know, it's really pretty. I like it. But the fact is, I don't have space for it. And I said, okay, I'm going to consign this. Well, the amount of work that it takes to take it to the consignment place and sign it up, and I only get 50%, and I go, is it worth it to me? It's not worth my time to consign that, okay? It's not worth the 20 bucks I might get from it to schlep over there, and I'd probably buy something at the store if I went there too, so keep me out of the consignment store. I had to break the habit of yard sales, which I did successfully. So lo and behold, Laura Moore from ClutterClarity in Concord, Mass. is doing a workshop, and I said, I know we're going to make this a really fun event. We're going to bring linens to the event for household goods. It's a win-win situation. So, and I've solved my problem. This is my clutter, but then you have to decide whether it's clutter or not, and then you have to decide how to let it go. Notice I didn't say get rid of. I choose how to let it go. And I keep on circling back. And I said, that feels good to me. And so Sharon's going to get it. The household goods is going to get it. But notice for a little while there, I was kind of ambivalent, and I was doing other things. It wasn't that important. I had to make it a priority to even address the question. So we're back to time management and emotional management. You know, for the longest time I said, you know, I spent a good amount of money. Excuse me, that was another, there's another blanket under here. I spent a good amount of money, but I don't use it anymore. So every decision costs or replenishes your resources. It's not worth it to me to take these to, and now I'm happy to give it to Sharon at Household Goods. You never want to let go of your clutter until it feels like the right decision to you. Decluttering is a lifelong activity. We're never done. Another misleading statement that professional organizers go in and attack your clutter and be done once and for all. It's absolutely BS. You declutter for your whole life in order to adapt to your changing circumstances, to bring your home back into balance so you feel comfortable in your home and comfortable. When you take care of your clutter, you're taking care of your family. If you take care of your family, you're taking care of your home, you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of you. This is not about getting rid of stuff, it's about taking good care of you. But we declutter for life. So it's all about deciding. You decide whether it's your clutter or not, and then you have to decide how to let it go. Those are different questions, okay, with different solutions. When I'm working with people, I'm giving them good options and criteria for them to make a good decision on their own. When you decide whether something is clutter or not, you love, not like a lot, but love now. You might have used to liked it or loved it, but do you really love it now? Now love is not, this is my main concern, love is not the only criteria. If I kept everything that brought me joy, I'd have to build an extension on my house. Okay, because I love beauty, I love art, I like objects, I like shape. Almost anything can thrill me if it's in that category. Love, use, I used to use it, but I'm not using it anymore. I think I'm going to use it, and I might use it in the future. You're jumping into the future. You just want to stay, like, if you take good care of the present, your future will take care of itself. So you turn your worry into wonder, your concern into curiosity, and you stay with the decisions. Love, use, space. If I keep this, I don't have room for this. So which one of these do I like the most? You see? It's all in the decision making. Love, use, space, and lifestyle. This is the one that's often left out. As I said, your life is rapidly changing. So you want to say, what is my lifestyle now? You get rid of very little in this world right now. That's why our earth is full of trash. Reframe it. You don't want to get rid of anything. You want to choose how to let it go in a way that makes you feel good. It's all about you in a way that feels good. Decluttering, deciding what is your clutter, is a different decision than deciding how you're going to let it go. Don't get confused. And by the way, decluttering is the first step to one of the first steps to organizing, but organizing is not the solution to clutter. And this beautiful thing is you create a space to work. You want hip level and a big table if you can, a dining room table. They're kind of becoming obsolete in this world. Or a queen size table, bed is a good way of doing it. Or if you don't have that, use the couches. But you don't want to be on the floor after 50, hour after hour. And I'm going to just go through this quickly. You take, actually I was working paper clutter, working in an office, the woman, a big mound of stuff, well actually everywhere, but a big mound of stuff on the desk, and she didn't know where to start. And I said, okay, do you have a laundry basket? And she thought I was like, what the hell do you need a laundry basket for? And I said, I want you to move everything on your desk that's breakable out of the way. She said, okay, I can do that. And I said, okay, I want you to take your forearm, put the laundry basket right there, and I want you to sweep everything that's on your desk into the laundry basket. And she said, I'm just making another mess. And I said, watch me. We're just moving it out of the mess. You don't want to work in the room that's claustrophobically stuffed with things. You want to bring the laundry basket out to the dining room table, and it's a beautiful experience because who's in charge anyway? The high priestess of the household tips it over, and you sort it out, spread it out. You spill it out, sort it out. Spill it out, spread it out, sort it out. That's the series. Tip it over, spill it out, spread it out, and sort it out. The first step is you categorize what you have. You're not decluttering yet. You're just categorizing, okay? Like legal papers, financial papers, personal papers, ooh, stuff I really need to do papers, okay, those categories. And then you might be done for the day. You clip them together or rubber band them or throw them in a box, but you're sorted. And you come back and you go to one category at a time and declutter that pile. You don't do everything at once. Remember, you want to just do 2 hours at a time, and you don't want to exhaust yourself. You can do 4 hours, but take a significant break in between. Your neurology. In 2 hours, you've made about 2,000 decisions. I'm estimating. Okay, little tiny, tiny decisions. And in 2 hours, you're going, I can't believe I have to keep on doing this. And I can't believe so-and-so is not helping me. I can't believe I have to do this again tomorrow. So there's all this emotional and neurological stuff going on inside of you. This is what makes it tiring, not the physical work. So you take the categories, and then you declutter each category. Okay, you can do one a day if you want. You can do all 4 if you make enough time. But you declutter, and then you organize only what you decide to keep. As I said, I've only been to the Container Store 5 times in 10 years. Because when you declutter first, the most amazing thing happens. Like all the containers that you already have in your home become empty. And you don't have to buy more. Okay, a lot of people save money when they work with me. They go, oh, that's sellable. Oh, I'm sorry, that's lost its value. You can only expect to get about 10 cents on the dollar these days on all those valuable things that we bought whenever, when. Now, I have appraisers and anyone else that you want to value. You know, there's emotional value and monetary value. So memorabilia is kind of a whole nother ball of wax, but these paintings were valuable. She already had an appraiser, so I often use the resources that my clients have. So we put all the pieces together, and it's a beautiful experience, and you create momentum from week to week, and you start regaining confidence in your decision making, and lo and behold, you're doing what you could not do before. In fact, you're enjoying yourself. Imagine that. But it's all about taking care of you and taking care of your home. Don't think of it, I have to do this again. It's your stuff, your accumulation, take care of it. But do it a little bit through time, and don't exhaust yourself. Pay attention to your feelings, please, along the way. I teach people how to prevent overwhelm. I teach them how to negotiate. I teach them how to ask for help from family members and actually get it. I teach them how to manage their time. None of this is about the stuff. It's all about getting ready properly, emotional management, time management, and then you can get to the stuff management. We have Sharon Martins, who's the Executive Director of Household Goods, with us today. She's very grateful, I'm sure. Okay. And then we have Larry DeRoche and Lauren Worth, who are both from Clean Out Your House. These are 3 people that are on my team. I have about 25 people that help me do whatever needs to be done. I don't do this alone. And I consider them godsend. They're both local and they're very trustworthy. And they do it. We worked in one house. We got 2,000 pounds of stuff out of her basement. She had to touch everything in that basement with me. And I tried to get around this, but she insisted. I said, okay, we'll do it that way. But then I called Larry and we moved the stuff out of the house. A lot of stuff went to her church for the church sale, but a lot of it went to Larry, and then Larry can, quote unquote, get rid of this stuff properly, but also has a consignment store and can help me sell things for clients as well. And Lauren works with Larry. By the way, this woman was not a hoarder. If we were also happy at 80. So now it's your time. Why don't we start with you?
This is nothing to do with the other thing. You just mentioned hoarder. I mean, I have friends, I gather stuff, but what's the difference between a hoarder and one who's got clutter up to their eyeballs, can't move from one room to the next?
Briefly, I work with a hoarder maybe once or twice a year. They have to be cooperative, and I'm usually working with their family as well. I'm often in the family dynamic. This woman I referred to was not a hoarder. She was an excessive accumulator who lived in the world of possibilities. Oh, so-and-so would love that, or so-and-so would love that, and so-and-so would love that, and I would love that, and everyone would love, 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 and she would buy it, and it would come into the basement. She was incredibly smart, incredibly happy, incredibly stable human being. She just had a little bit of issue with shopping. But she was not a hoarder. A hoarder is a much more serious mental illness. And by the way, if you know a hoarder, there's more hoarding task forces are developing across the country now to address this issue. It's a very complicated one. So, do you have any questions about how to, let's see, clean out your house?
First of all,
Do you buy individual items from the person, from the client?
But usually we don't go out and just buy, well, it'll be part of the cleanup. In other words, while I'm here cleaning and taking stuff that Laura and you worked out, we donate some of it, we maybe consign some of it, or buy it out, or maybe there's rubbish involved as well. So
lots of rubbish
So
involved.
it's a whole picture, we try to do that, and donate an awful lot.
Clean Out Your House is one of our biggest donors of goods and money.
Before I call Larry, though, I've gone through the house. Like there's places I know where, like, it was a mid-century house. There were a lot of beautiful mid-century items in it, and I know consignment stores are buyers, so there's lot sales and stores that will come in and they'll say, I'll buy this, this, and this, and they'll take it away. And then I'll call Larry, and he decides what to do with the rest of the stuff.
Household goods, so you're saying you, for example, do not accept electronics. Do you tell people where they should go with it?
Well, we accept TVs, VCRs, DVDs, if they're newish TVs and they work. It depends, because every town is different,
Yeah.
so we don't necessarily know. Does Carlisle?
Goodwill will take operating equipment.
Best Buy, you can bring your electronics to the store. They have a recycling program there. You don't need to have even bought it there. Okay, but if it's good, give it to Sharon. But if it's trash, they'll recycle it for you. And then you don't have to buy a new one. They just have this service because they're very smart to bring people into the store this close. They're going to want a new one. Okay? So any other questions?
Yes, I have a question for you. Do you sell primarily out of your consignment shop, or do you also use eBay and or Craigslist to get rid of things?
That's a good question. Yes, if we feel there's an item that came in that our local clientele won't get the money it's due, we will put it on eBay. We do have that resource.
And you do that with consignments, in other words?
Right, correct.
I just want you to know that there's an answer for it all. Thousands of people, 10-mile radius, are asking these questions too. So if you're sitting at a bus stop, or if you're in your church, or you go, turn to a stranger and go, what would you do if you were me? What would you do with your piano? And then ask 2 other people. So you'll come up with 3 options, and then you can implement. The problem isn't what to do with your stuff or whether to sell it or not. There's solutions for all of it. The problem is to decide what is your clutter and stay with it long enough through time so you can make a choice, make a decision about what's best for you. Take the attitude that if you don't know what to do, add this little word, yet, and go back to carving out 2 hours a week to make that your priority, to figure out, am I going to sell it, and how am I going to sell it, and who am I going to call to get who knows the answer. But there's people right within reach. Just do not do this work alone. Keep on staying engaged and asking the questions. Okay, the solution is just right around the corner. Okay?
Can I ask a question to you?
Sure.
Sorry, apologies.
It's up to them, though. I mean, does anyone have any more questions for?
It's not a question, it's a testimonial for Larry. You helped me by cleaning up my parents' house after I had decided where all the valuable, so-called,
Well, thank
was
you.
going, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was
And
exceptionally
this is the
good.
feedback that I just love to hear.
So just know that he's there. So call me anytime. I'll link him or go to him directly. That's fine too. Just want you to turn your worry into wonder, your concern into curiosity. And so and just trust that there's an answer right around the corner to all your questions about what to do with your stuff. It's like what to do. You may not know yet, but add the word yet and come back to 2 hours a week to take care of your clutter in your home, okay? So the first step is emotional management. People go, I don't know what to do. That anxiety is what's getting in the way, not the answer to the question. All you have to do is stay engaged, ask somebody, what would you do if you were me? What was your question?
I just wanted to give a plug for household goods. I came to hear you probably a year ago for another organization, and I am the inheritor of everyone that's older than me's household, and I had all of the questions, what do you save, what do you keep, sort of thing. And coming to that, the last time you spoke, I have considerably less stuff than I used to have, which is a happy thing. But the main benefit of, personally, somebody stood up at that event and said, do you ever wonder what goes on behind the doors when you drop off stuff at Household Goods? And I've been a volunteer handing stuff out, and when you see how appreciative people are for your mother's old silverware, it makes you go home and get your grandmother's old silverware.
So photos. Okay, I didn't forget you. Okay, the best way to tell you the story, the best way to tell you how to do this is to tell a story. I worked with a man whose wife had died about 3 years prior, and he was well in his 80s. And there were all these photos, and for years his wife has been asking him, let's organize the photos, honey. And they just, lots of reasons they never got to it. And she died. Okay, and he now is downsizing and moving to a continued care community. He can't take it all with him, and his children don't want container after container of photos, and yet you don't want to get rid of them. So what we did is, the first step to go through my presentation, I'm starting over here on the left, is emotional management. There was no way he was going to get near these photos without tears. He felt so bad. He felt like a bad husband, okay? And it's really great that I'm not his daughter, because then there's a few other levels of feeling bad. And so we went to, let's just figure it out along the way. Nice and easy, okay? So we created the time, and I took care of the emotion. You know, he said the beautiful thing, do this because you love your wife. Do this because you love your family. And so I reframed how he's thinking about it so he could even entertain the possibility of doing it. Now we're in time management, and we created, because he was well in his 80s, the sessions were sort of 2 to 3 hours long in person. But we had to put a thinking cap. How are we going to do this? We have not gone into the stuff yet. But we created time we had to make the time to even think about it. So fast forward, what was really lovely is that I got this inspiration with him because he was talking about his family and how much he loved them. And he was getting older and he was going to die soon. I said, let's have a family party. And all of a sudden he was looking forward to something positive, okay? I attach him not to the problem, I attach him to the motivation. And all of a sudden, what he was dreading before became absolutely couldn't wait to have it happen. Okay, I didn't organize that party in a month and a half. I organized it I think it was 4 months in advance, okay? So, you know, one of the daughters did all the organizing for the party, but I took care of him, and we went through the photos, and like the papers, you sort first. and you chuck all the crappy photos. Don't even go there. Then you make a pile of duplicates, okay? Then you go, oh, I know this is family, these are friends, this is a travel, or whatever. Your categories depend on who you are and where you've been. And then there's the whole sadness of, I don't even know who these people are. That's one whole category. That's where the party comes in. So we brought in, we organized, then you organize the photos, we go through each category and pick his favorites. And he's having a ball at this point. I can hardly keep up with him. He's working almost faster than I am. He's just, oh, and then there's this story. And then I pressed the tape recorder and we started recording him telling the stories while we went through the photos. I didn't care if it was disorganized. I just wanted a record of it, you see? And so all of a sudden he's writing his memoir. Okay. Oh, it gives me goosebumps. You always want me to have goosebumps. Oh, it was such a beautiful experience. And so when we got to the I don't know who they are, those are the photos that came out at the party. And so all the people who'd known him all his life could look at the photos and go, oh, that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so. The audio recording is still on, and the party and the stories are all recorded. You see, it was a beautiful experience. And he died shortly after. Okay? Somebody took those recordings and transcribed them, and it's now a book for the family. Okay? That's how you do it. It's the same process. It's all about sorting, decluttering, deciding what's clutter, what's not, what to keep, and organizing it, and then turning it into a beautiful experience and enjoyable. Remember, the name of this workshop is The 3 Essentials to Enjoy the Decluttering Process. And that's where, when I go into a process, that's my number one thing. Are you enjoying yourself? Whether we're getting through the stuff or not doesn't matter. What we need to is get you ready to enjoy the process. And so does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great.
There is a strategy that you haven't touched on yet that worked for me really well.
Oh, great.
Have a basement flood.
Yep. It does save you a lot of time. So on that note, plan ahead. Don't have a flood, but enjoy yourself. And I'll be here for a little longer. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you take some jewels home with you.